Good. So thank you so much, Abby. My name is Randall Butler. Most people call me Randy, and I'm the chair of the Boulder Rotary Club Peacebuilder Committee. And I have to tell you, we are honored to partner today with the Jaipur Literature Festival in observance of this United Nations International Day of Peace. So how many of you saw the last program? Wow. Okay, that one is hard to follow. I've spent the last 24 years working on peace building and helping people resolve conflict, building the capacity of political leaders and social activists to build sustainable peace. I've done that in places like the Balkans immediately following the genocides there, with the folks from Darfur, Sudan, South Sudan. But I have to tell you, I'm a bit overwhelmed because I did listen. And so, Michael, thank you. That had to be a really difficult interview. I've interviewed some folks before in front of crowds, and that one, I don't know how you did it. How you held it together, because Dr. Abuelash's story is so powerful, and it is such an honor to follow him and to follow Michael, who also has been doing peace building for a good bit of time. So without any further ado, what we'd like to start with is a video that I must tell you, first of all, it is going to be very obvious from the start that it is designed for members of Rotary International. It's for Rotarians. But we could not think of a more succinct presentation to talk about our commitment to peace building and what we believe that entails, what that requires. And after the video, we'll talk some about the projects we're doing and for sure make some references back to what Dr. Abuelash had to say, because I think it really is very cogent and applies to I think it's core to the work of peace building. So I would love for you to have imagined, and maybe I should have said this before, every place where it said Rotary, what if it said you? And isn't that what we just heard from Dr. Abuelash? I was so struck by his response, both to the questions and, of course, his just almost inexplicable response to the tragedy in his life. But what I love most of what he had to say was his emphasis on needing to have the skills to challenge ourselves to take responsibility for what happens next. To take responsibility, to be the change we seek in the world. And of course, that's why I have so much admiration for him, to do it in the face of a loss that is, I can't imagine it. And yet, he has been given the power to do that. And I believe, based on the work that I've done in other places, it started in the Balkans with young people who could literally tell you the stories of being chased out of their homes in the middle of the night during the wars of the 90s, and could tell you the names of people who they do not know where they're buried because they're in mass graves. And yet, they were there to find out how they could be peacemakers. So I think our message today begins with the idea that and to continue the message of Dr. Abuelash, which is each of us can be a peace builder. Each person in this room, each of you, each of us can do our part in building diverse societies that are more inclusive, more just, and less violent. Together we can create a movement to build a critical mass of people building societies in which every person has the opportunity to contribute to and to benefit from the common good. Isn't that the society you want to live in? Isn't that the world that we would like to make this world become? So what are the things we're doing right now to build that? We have a peace building committee. We did one of the things that the video talked about. We've started some projects here, and it occurred to us that if you're trying to build a critical mass in order to build sustainable peace, it's probably a good place to start. If it would be with building consciousness, maybe what you might call a peace consciousness. And so this year we created the annual Jim Swaby Peace Award to recognize a person or persons for outstanding achievement in the advancement of international understanding, goodwill, and peace. And as part of celebrating the centennial of our club, we undertook some projects in partnership with the City of Boulder and the Boulder Sister City Alliance. And so I'm going to introduce now Ms. Charlotte Rome, who is going to come to the podium and tell you more about those initiatives, and then with the help of other presenters that she will introduce in due course. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy, and thank you all of you for being here today. It's truly an honor to be able to present here today and talk to you about some of our initiatives that we are undertaking, as Randy mentioned. It's also a wonderful festival here to be part of, and many strong and important messages that I hope each and every one of us takes away with us today on our journeys. I'd like to mention that a lot of these initiatives that we'll be talking about today wouldn't have been possible without dedicated, passionate people from across the community that have been really imperative and critical for making these things happen. So I'd like to thank all of them, and some of them are in the room today. We really do cherish these partnerships, and we really hope to build on these partnerships moving forward across the community and really build stronger ties to make sure that we create a strong community moving forward. So today we're here really to engage in a dialogue about some of these initiatives, and it's really some efforts to promote how we can really promote a culture of peace, sustainability, and community. These are really important themes in a lot of the work that we're working with at Rotary at the moment. As part of our Centennial Club, as Randy mentioned, we celebrated our centennial, and in partnership with the City of Boulder and Parks and Recreation, we decided to do an enhancement of the current International Peace Garden. If many of you are aware, the Peace Garden right now is actually right outside here on Boulder Creek. It has been around for 30 years. It was inaugurated in 1990. So really this was an effort to enhance that and enhance the messages of, again, peace, sustainability, and our community. The International Peace Garden was first sponsored by the Dushanbe Sister City back in 1990, and it was designed by CU environmental design students Joseph Vigil IV and William Echterling. And really the idea was to promote an area within our community where we could reflect on concepts of peace. And as I said, many of you are familiar with it, and we really welcome those of you who aren't to take a walk around this area and really discover some of the parts that are there. And we'll talk a little bit more about what we're doing as part of this enhancement. The overall idea of this enhancement is to create what we call an infinite walk of peace. And this is really not just to talk about peace and environmental sustainability, but really to cultivate a personal emotional awareness as you walk around there and experience this, and also to build bridges across communities, and we feel that's very important. These are just some diagrams, which are the top diagrams, the initial design of the International Peace Garden 30 years ago, and it'll be coming up to its 30-year celebration next year. And then the bottom picture is what it looks like currently today. So as I mentioned, the Infinite Walk of Peace has a variety of components that we've tried to integrate to be able to get to people's senses in different ways and be able to have people reflect on these concepts in their own personal way, but also as a community. So as you walk around this, as it's not completely finished yet, hopefully we'll have this finished by the end of the year, but you'll be able to, throughout this walk, encounter new trees that have been planted in this area, peace poles, engravings with peace messages on them as part of the garden. We'll be taking you through the Sister City Plaza so that you can really understand and connect with a lot of those communities and cultures. And also, we're currently going through a proposal process to put a kinetic sculpture in there, and also, as we'll talk about a little bit later, a pillar and bench recognizing community leaders in the field of peace. So we invite you all to go and experience this. And we called it the Infinite Walk of Peace because there is no beginning and there is no end. You really can join this journey wherever you want, and we really hope that you continue to discover and reflect on it as you walk around this. As part of this, we also wanted to be able to create an interactive experience, so we're developing digital technologies. The first one that's very simple, that's relatively common, are QR codes, and the idea here is that if you see this logo displayed throughout the walk, you can scan your phone on it, and it'll take you into different components and talk about different components that are initiated around the walk. So you'll see these on some of the lamp poles. They'll be on the actual peace poles as well that define the different sister cities within this community. This design was done by a wonderful graphic designer in our community, Mark Kruger, and it really is bringing together our three themes of peace, sustainability, and community, with the peace obviously being the dove. But then you can sort of see leaves representing sustainability and also hands bringing that community together. So it's really a concept that brings these different themes together. So we hope that you'll be taken on a very symbolic journey of reflection as you experience this in the near future. One of these components is also talking about the beautiful sister cities, and I'd like to invite Debbie and Tara to come up. They're representatives from our sister cities. From Ramat HaNegev, from Israel, our most current and latest sister city that was just added, and we'll talk about that in a minute. So thank you for being here. The Sister City Plaza is located in the sort of northeast corner of this walk. And the Sister City's mission really is to promote peace through mutual respect, cooperation, and understanding, one individual and one community at a time. The Sister City International was created back in 1956 when President Eisenhower was at the White House Summit on Citizen Diplomacy, and he really envisioned a network that could bring together communities and different cultures by fostering the bonds from people from different communities around the globe. The concept and fundamental part of this was really the understanding that you can have people from different cultures that could understand, respect, appreciate, and celebrate their differences while really building partnerships that would avoid future conflicts. So each square, there's a square that represents every sister city in the Sister City Plaza, and these are made out of artistic stone and metal inlays. And within each one of those, there's a very specific and unique geographic and economic feature that represents that specific sister city. So we really encourage you to go and look at those. They're very representative and very present a beautiful emblem of each of the cities. And also to just walk around there on the east side of the Boulder Municipal Park. So once again, I did want to thank Tara and Debbie for being here, and I really would welcome you to talk to them after this presentation if you'd like to know more about the sister cities. And we hope to bridge some new communities become, if you stay here for one moment, over the years. So our 10 sister cities are noted here. Dushanbe, as I mentioned, was the first one that was inaugurated in 1982. And Ramat HaNegev was inaugurated this year. And in fact, they had their signing 2 weeks ago, which was very exciting. So we really welcome them here. I won't go through the list here, but this is a list of all the different sister cities. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. As I mentioned, there's different components on this walk, and I'm just going to take you briefly through each one of them, and then we'll come up with a couple of the peace concepts that are really critical today that we'd like to talk about. So the first one is we talked about engravings. As you walk around the Infinite Walk of Peace on the north side of the current International Peace Garden, you know that you'll notice stone benches. In there are currently engravings of peace quotes that have come together and that were brought to us by the community. And it's really to enable, again, reflection on what the concept of peace means on a personal level, but also within the context of community. On the south side, you'll notice on the lower picture, there's been a picture of a map of the world, and we encourage you to go there because this really is representative of bringing global communities together. And if you actually stand in the middle, I didn't know this until recently, if you stand in the middle of it facing south and you talk, you'll hear a beautiful echo coming back at you, and it's very specific to that one location. Next component is our peace poles, and our peace poles, we will be having 5 peace poles that are located throughout this walk, and these really represent the celebration of peace, sustainability, and community for 3 very different reasons. One is that every single one of these peace poles will have an engraving of peace, may peace prevail on earth, in a different language, and languages from across the world. And those will be 2 on each side, and then the other 2 sides of every peace pole will have the name of each one of the sister cities written in their original language. So this is really bringing that concept of community and peace together, in those 2 themes. The third theme is really that theme of sustainability. We've chosen to use poles that are going to be made out of ash that really is symbolic for our community here in Boulder because of the issues that we've been facing with the emerald ash borer. So we felt this was really representative of bringing that concept of sustainability back into the picture and looking at the reuse and recycling of some of the materials within there. There is going to be information specific to those sister cities on a QR code that's located on each of those peace poles, so we encourage people when they're out there to really go in and discover each one of those cities again, and also to learn a little bit more about the culture and languages that are on there. The next component is really the environmental sustainability component here. We wanted to incorporate this partly because of the emerald ash borer, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. Back in May, we were very lucky to bring community members from across the community together here in Boulder to plant 6 trees that are located around the Peace Garden and the Infinite Walk of Peace. And the idea here was to plant 6 what we call Montmorency cherry trees. These are the first 6 Montmorency cherry trees that have been planted here in Boulder, and the forestry department really recognized this as being quite symbolic because they are trying to diversify the canopy here in Boulder because of the issues of the emerald ash borer. So really this represents one of the first efforts that we've been able to be involved in as a community that also is really supporting the urban forestry strategic plan to ensure that there's resiliency built into the future of Boulder and the urban canopy of Boulder. So we welcome you to go and look at these trees as well. They're beautiful trees that are out there currently, and you'll see them. They're quite small, but they're very noticeable. The next part of our walk includes something that's not necessarily physically out there, but it's something that we've produced and felt was very symbolic for our club, and that's a book on peace. And I would like to welcome Jancy Campbell up to talk about this with Zoe and Bridget as well, 2 of our students, and Paula. Thank you.
Well, when we started to build this scenario, one of the important things we did was to look at what famous people, important people throughout history, what they thought and what they said. And then, as our last powerful, moving speaker said, listen to the children. And that's what we did. We talked to 40 fourth grade students, and we asked them, what is peace? This is a book that's just been published. It's available on Amazon as of right now. But we have 2 of these young authors that are going to read what they wrote. So we have Bridget Christie. I want to say something. Oh, okay. Polly is, this is Polly McDonald. She's the Whittier historian. She wants to say a quick word.
I want to just thank the Rotary Club for involving 4th grade Whittier International School students in writing what peace means to them. And these are just 2, Zoe and Bridget are just 2 of the 40 students who wrote what peace meant to them. They're in the book and they wrote beautiful writing. Thank you. Okay, Zoe? This is Zoe Parker. Yeah, just stand up closer.
What does peace mean to me? Peace is singing along to my favorite song while dancing on my couch. Peace is lying on the sunny grass for hours and hours, daydreaming about my friends and future. Peace is gliding through the slick pool water, making bubbles with my feet, blowing air through my mouth little by little until it's all gone. planting my feet on the bumpy pool floor and pushing my way up and up. I stare at the surface. I move one more time, bursting out of the water, hair swinging, taking deep breaths. Pieces running through the sprinklers with my besties yelling super weird words like unicorn sprinkles. Pieces telling secrets to my BFFs late at night on the best slumber party of my life. Pieces having my cats walk all over me while I'm laying in bed trying to read. Pieces snuggling up with my dog on a Friday night, totally ready for the weekend.
Thank you so much.
Peace is a pause in the violence in the world, a time to be quiet and celebrate life and friendships. Peace is loving and being loved, and noticing the beauty in the environment around you. Peace is a glowing sunrise, a fading sunset. It comes and goes and comes. Peace is silent, but has many sounds. A gentle breeze carefully blowing the clouds into shapes, or the sound of laughter rippling out into the endless universe, lighting up the stars. Peace is a real-life dream, a fantasy world evolving right in front of your eyes. Peace is as soft as the fluffy blanket in your room, yet as hard as a rock. Peace is rain and sunshine, summer and winter. Peace is wildflowers growing on grassy hills, mountain lakes sparkling in the sunlight. Peace is birds chirping in the spring, the feeling of happiness shining down on you like the sun's rays. Peace is a full moon just rising, the moonlight reaching through the glowing clouds and the black sky to get to you. Peace is gentle snowflakes hitting the ground without a sound, covering everything in a thick white blanket, waking up in the morning with frost covering your window panes. Peace is the sound when you listen to a conch shell, waves crashing into the rocky shore. So next time you feel peace upon you, think, what does peace mean to me?
Thank you. Could we say it any better?
Thank you so much. That was beautiful. I'd like to invite Sam Pottinger up to present the Jim Schwabe Peace Award. Thank you.
Okay, talk about following people. Those girls were great. Where's the boys? Well, one of the boys was Jim Schwabe. This award, the Jim Schwabe Peace Award, commemorates the contributions of Boulder Rotarian Jim Schwabe, who gave of his time, talent, passion, humor to build a better world. He was a returned Peace Corps volunteer, businessman, who gave to the community in numerous ways. We're very fortunate today to have Susan, Jim's widow, with us today. Thank you so much. Very briefly, Jim was a friend. He went to Fairview, just down the road. He was the head boy. Then he went to CU, got a master's there, bachelor degree. He was in the Peace Corps. He was the first Peace Corps person to be drafted to go to Vietnam, where he spent 13 years. In his early career, he worked for United Bank, and where he was vice president of human resources. He left that to come to Boulder to work for the Colorado Group. He was named Commercial Realtor of the Year in that field. He was president of Historic Boulder, quite involved in historic preservation. He chaired the Boulder Urban Renewal Authority during the time when the St. Julian was being built and 29th Street Mall. The Boulder Daily Camera recognized him as a pace setter. He was very active in Boulder Rotary. He was both on the foundation board and on the board itself for our club. He was instrumental in creating the Memorandum of Understanding that created a link between Rotary International and the Peace Corps. In fact, just last week, we had the past Peace Corps director here in Boulder. In fact, she's going to be moving back here, has children here in Boulder. The parting words that Jim said tells us about his life, and that is, do unexpected acts of kindness and generosity for someone less privileged. Quite a guy. Rotary is very honored to present the first award winner this year to quite a lady. And I'll tell you just a little bit about her as she comes up here. Gary, you going to bring her up? Dorothy Rupert is a name that is well known in the Boulder area. Dorothy has spent over 70 years of service. She was a city council member in Thornton, a high school teacher and counselor for 35 years, many of those years right here in Boulder, 8 years as a representative to the state of Colorado, 6 as a senator. She's worked tirelessly on behalf of scores of nonprofits here in Colorado and in Boulder also. She's a lifetime member of the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom. She taught at the University of Colorado in a topic called Civil Engagement, Using Democracy as a Tool for Social Change. Dorothy has consistently walked her talk as an active civic leader. Dorothy Rupert. Congratulations. And you have more than 31 seconds. You have about a minute.
Well, quite obviously, I don't think I have to tell you how it feels. It's beyond, in fact, I'm so afraid of choking up. And I'd like not to, because I want to tell you how much I really, really love just looking out and seeing you there. I love Rotary. I've not ever been a part of any organization that has what Rotary means to me. It's the largest humanitarian organization in the world. And I've been lucky enough to travel in different parts of the world. One place that I just want to mention, because I've been sitting here thinking about it a lot, was when I went to the Beijing Women's Conference. And the kinds of organizations that were there, the kinds of people that I met, kind of was a lot the way I feel when I go to a Rotary meeting. They're just people who are there with such great hearts and understanding and feeling. And no one represents that more to me than Jim Swaby. And it just happens that I followed him by 1 year later. I was a counselor, and he was a student at Fairview in the 60s, early 60s. But I want to tell you, I sponsored council for the next 15 years, and no kidding, it was Jim Schwabe that we kept referring to. Oh, well, I wonder how Jim would do this. And sometimes we'd run into him and talk to him, or somebody knew him. And but Jim had made an amazing impact at Fairview and on the students who followed him. So my gratitude is huge. And I'm very, very touched by seeing Susan here. And thank you. And if I started, I wouldn't know where to stop. But it's wonderful to see my friends. And there are so many different quotes that I would love to say to you. And I'll sit down and start crying because, oh, I didn't say this, I didn't say that. I'm asking you, please, to, if you so feel moved, to get back in touch with me if we haven't been in touch for a while, to call me and come to Fraser and have a lunch with me or something like that. But just get in touch with me And let's renew or continue, because friendships, of course, mean everything in the world to me. I just was back in Nebraska and visited Willa Cather's home. And Willa Cather is one of my favorite all-time writers. And she lived in this little town called Red Cloud. And people have come from all around the world to make Red Cloud a very, very, very special place on understanding kind of how life and the world intertwines and works. And one of the things that's just been kind of in me since I was there last month was that she talked so much about the prairie. And the prairie is where I grew up. And I grew up in a children's home. My dad left us, when we were little, in the middle of the Depression. And the Masonic Eastern Star people of Nebraska had built a lovely children's home in Fremont. And that's where I did most of my growing up from about 6th grade on. So I have so many things to be grateful for, and most especially for being right here with you. It means the world to me. Willa Cather would say, the end is nothing, the journey is all. I'm so grateful. Thank you.
There was a $1,000 cash prize that went with this award, and she's donating it to the Education Fund for Scholarships for Youth at Rotary. Thank you. Charlotte?
And congratulations, Dorothy. That's a wonderful prize and very deserving. Gary is going to be talking to us about some community engagement, so I will leave that with you.
Oh, okay.
Should be on the next one.
Okay. So one of the things that we wanted to take the opportunity to do here today was to get some feedback from the community. We have, as a part of our International Peace Garden Enhancement Project and the Infinite Walk of Peace, 2 pieces of public art that have been donated generously by a couple members of our Rotary Club, and I just like them to stand up and be acknowledged. Gordon and Grace Gam are the people who are contributing a kinetic sculpture, and Bob Sievers, Dr. Bob Sievers, who's a sculptor, has many pieces all around the community, especially in the university setting, and he's created a marble bench that is reflected in the graphic there. I wish I could show you the picture of the final product, but it's not quite done. But these are there is a public arts commission in Boulder that's part of the process of having to negotiate to get this approved. And one of the things they would like us to do is to get some community feedback. So we're going to use our let me just see if I can. This is the kinetic sculpture that Gordon and Grace are contributing through our Rotary Foundation, and this is that QR code that you heard Charlotte mention. How many of you are familiar with QR codes? Hold up your hand. Okay, great. Okay, so what I would like you to do now is to take out your smartphone and click on the camera. Okay, for this should work for most of you, but wait a second before you do anything. What I'm going to ask you to do is there's going to be a questionnaire come up in a minute, and you will answer 3 questions. We're seeing if this QR code technology will actually serve us in this setting. It may or may not because of the seating arrangements, but we're going to give it a try, okay? So first, I'd like to show you a little video clip, if you could show that, of the kinetic sculpture so you can see what it looks like when it's actually out there in a place moving. Can you start that video? Okay, thank you. So that gives you a little idea of what the kinetic sculpture is like. Now, both of these things will be located in the Sister City Plaza, just on the east side of the municipal building. And they are going to be redoing that Sister City Plaza to add the new sister cities that have recently come in. And we're hoping that we can have them located there. And your feedback will help the city Arts Commission people make a decision on whether this should be done. So if you could now point your cameras right at that QR code, and when it brings up a message to you, click on it. And don't watch the video again. Just click. You should be at a questionnaire with 3 questions. And I would like you to see if you can answer the 3 questions if you can see them on your phone. No? Didn't bring it up? Okay. Yeah, I understand there's a couple of types of phones that don't do this automatically, that you actually have to download a QR app to do it. But if you have one of the kinds of phones that do it, just point it at it, and then it'll ask you if you want to go to the site. And this is what's going to happen also as you negotiate the Infinite Walk of Peace. You'll have opportunities to use a QR code to access website, videos, interactive content of various kinds. So I'm just going to give you a minute or 2 to answer those 3 questions. Hold up your hand if you got the questionnaire. Oh, great. Okay. You didn't?
An editorial comment. So it was just pointed out to me, and I also learned the same thing, that, how did you put it, that on the first question, the most positive comment is all the way to the right. On the next question, the most positive comment is all the way on the left. I almost hit the wrong button, which would have reported exactly the opposite of what I was hoping to vote. So well, be careful.
Yeah, thank you for that. That's part of questionnaire design to prevent what they call halo effect. So, thank you for pointing that out, Randy. So, change it if you did the wrong thing. Okay. Is it cheating? No. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, our time is up. So I want to just thank everybody for participating in our session today on the International Day of Peace. And fairly soon, we hope in the next couple of months, or certainly before the first of the year, as Charlotte mentioned, we hope to actually bring a formal dedication with the sculptures and the peace poles and all the elements you heard about today in celebration of the international peace that Rotary represents. And thank you so much to the city, to the Jaipur Festival, including Jesse Friedman, who is also a member of our club and the executive director of this conference, for making this possible for us to participate. Thanks so much.